Hello there, students. My name is Mr. Little, and today on History Bites, we're going to talk about the Indian Ocean Trade Network. This is Chapter 15, Part 2. We're going to talk about the Indian Ocean Trade Network. By the end of this History Bite, you'll be able to answer these essential questions. How did the increase in knowledge of the environment shape the Indian Ocean trade system? How did the political situation impact the Indian Ocean trade system? And how did the Indian Ocean trade system actually reshape the Indian Ocean basin? These are broad, but that's okay. We're gonna gather some information that allows us to tackle these questions. So let's just start really quick with the origins of the Indian Ocean trade system. A trade system does not come out of nowhere, and the Indian Ocean trade system has a number of precedents that led to its creation. Number one would be the search for resources, both within South Asia and outside of South Asia. Different groups of people were looking for different resources, and this helped to develop a trade network to exchange those resources. Environmental knowledge, specifically how to use the monsoon winds, was a really big part of that, as well as new sailing technology harnessing those monsoon winds, as well as carrying larger amounts of cargo than previously able. And so the monsoon winds are a set of winds that are not unique to South Asia, but most well known in South Asia, in which they blow one direction during one season and they blow another direction during another season. And this makes trade very easy and very predictable, because you know that if you blow one way one year, you go to some place and you come back from another place. And so it makes trade predictable and easy to do. It also means that we see the development of what are called diasporic communities. That is, groups of merchants who spend their time in another part of the world for long periods of time. And so they develop families, and these families develop into whole new communities. And there are some specific ones that you should know, such as Malay sailors in South Asia, Arabs and Persians in East Africa, and the Chinese in Southeast Asia. This is a direct result of the monsoon winds and the trade system. Now, what's important to keep in mind about all the goods traded on the Indian Ocean system is that almost all of them are what we call luxury goods. Now, some people wonder why that is when we get literally everything today from overseas, and the answer is, in the old days, trade was a dangerous job. It still is today, but it was even more so back then. And so merchants need to know that they're going to make money on whatever they bring back. And so the focus was on items that could be very valuable, items that would for sure bring you back a profit, right? This, on top of the fact that most of the people buying goods from overseas had a lot of money and they wanted really nice things that they could wear and show off and impress their friends. And so this is why when you think about the goods that were traded in almost any trade system, they almost always were luxury goods of some sort, or they were materials to make luxury goods, or they were materials for the wealthy and the rich. So, however, not only goods were exchanged. As we've noted, in the Islamic world, as well as in the Indian Ocean trade system, we have a great deal of technological exchange. From the Islamic world, we see the introduction of several navigational tools, including most famously the astrolabe, which is a sort of GPS locator that tells you where you are via the stars. From South Asia, we have another ship design called the Dhows ship, which is a fast and easy to sail ship. It uses a Lateen sail and can carry a good deal of cargo. And from China, we have something called the magnetic compass, which is a lodestone, not unheard of. Many people had known about lodestones before this time period, but in China, it was the first place where a lodestone, that is a stone that always points north, was actually converted into a navigational tool. There were also the role of states. Now, we're talking about trade, but it's important to understand that states also played a role in trade, and they oftentimes wanted to be involved in this trade. For example, the Swahili city-states, most of them only came to exist because of the increasing trade between them and other parts of the Indian Ocean basin. These leaders taxed and controlled trade and used the wealth to build their city-states. The Gujarati Sultanate in South Asia attempted to become the strongest naval power in the region, funding the construction of their navy via the trade in the Indian Ocean. And kind of on the opposite spectrum, you have the nation of Aksum, which was a kingdom that, when it was cut off from the Indian Ocean trade, went into a general decline and collapsed. This was not the only reason, but the loss of that profitable trade definitely contributed to the collapse of this state in East Africa. And so states, while they did not control the trade, they definitely sought to be involved in the trade. I hope you can answer those essential questions. Thank you so much for joining me on this small history bite, and I hope to see you next time.